What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You are in the studio with me, Darius Fentress, and I'm just happy that you guys are with me on this journey. Thank you for all the support that you've given me over the last few weeks. I've been getting some great feedback on the shows, and you guys are liking the guests I've been bringing on, and I want to continue to do that, but I need you guys to like and subscribe to this channel. You can also download and save this on Apple Podcasts so I can keep bringing you guys the greatest guests, the greatest content that I can give you. So today, I got a special guest, a friend and brother of mine that I met here in Dallas, Texas when I first moved here. And he is a phenomenal talent. He's a singer, he's a musician, he's a producer, he is a vocal coach, he is a writer, all the things. He's an amazing professional, and I'm so excited for you guys to get to know a little bit more about this brother. Give it up for Deonis Cook.
Yo,
What's
yo, yo,
going on,
yo.
man?
What's going down, brother? What's happening? All is well.
Man, yes, all is well, man. I'm so thankful for you, man, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join me here in the studio.
No, nah, it's my pleasure. It's an honor to be here with you, bro. And like you said, we go back. So, Detroit to Dallas connection. That's what
Absolutely.
we doing. That's what we doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. One of the first times I saw you do anything from a performance standpoint, obviously back in the day when you were with God's Property. Man, tell us
Yeah.
about that journey, man. How did that all start out for you?
Well, God's property started for me going to the Potter's house actually. Linda Seawright, the founder, I think they did a concert there, and I think the following week they did that concert. She came to a Sunday service. That Sunday service happened to be a youth fifth Sunday. So at that time, I was leading praise and worship and doing the music and everything. And she saw me and pretty much asked me to be a part of the second generation of God's property, which it we still got to enjoy a lot of what happened off of the first generation of God's property, but that's how that whole thing got started, and from there it took off to traveling and meeting family members who are friends, but we call them family. But yeah, man, that situation kind of catapulted me into doing music the way that I do now. So
Yeah, man. That's amazing, bro. So, you mentioned you were part of the Potter's House, you were singing there, but I know you're so multi talented, man, in everything that you do. Tell me, man, like what was the beginning of your musical journey like? How old were you when you had an idea that you had some talent, or somebody told you that you were good at doing singing, whatever it was, man? How did it all start for you?
well, what's funny is I think everybody went to church at some point in their lives. So I think my journey probably started around 3 or 4 at my
Right.
grandfather's church. So I am a grand PK. um, so after
Same, me
church,
too.
you know, so after church, I would get on the piano and just start, banging around like kids do. I wasn't told I had talent. I was told, boy, get off that piano, like or getting on the drums and just making noise, like get off those drums. That ain't for you. Like nah, adults do.
Right.
But um, I think around that age, I had kind of like a drawing to music, but I fully didn't understand it. I don't think I really understood uh, what that what that was for me until the age of, I would say, about 12, when I first got a recording deal with RCA Records. Uh,
Oh
there happened to
wow.
be yeah, there happened to be a guy who was a producer, who had a couple of records. I believe his name was Antoine Smith. He had like a production deal with that was associated with RCA and was looking for talent. Heard me singing at a pool with my parents there, and we ended up inking a deal with RCA. I recorded like 2 songs. Um, the album never materialized. I think the deal fell through or whatever. But I think that was like my first. real professional situation with music, and then after that it just became, something that, I loved, and then just continued to move forth with it. So
Man, so okay, you were 12 years old when you got signed to this deal and you recorded some songs. So was 12 years old the first time that you had experience in a recording studio?
yeah, I think that was my first time. I remember, I don't know if you've ever heard of this studio out of Dallas called, I think it was called Future Audio. Uh, they're like,
Okay, it sounds familiar.
yeah, they're like old school. And I think this is where God's Property recorded a lot of their stuff too. But I
Okay.
come to just now thinking of it, I recorded there before God's Property. Uh, 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 yeah, we recorded a lot of our material there. There was an A room, a B room, and a C room. We did all of my
Okay.
recording in the C room, and I just remember being fascinated with mics and, boards and sound equipment, and the guy that was producing the music, he had an ASR 10, and with the
Nice.
ASR 10 he could, manipulate and play, but the most important feature that really caught my eye was the sampling feature. So I was just like,
Yeah.
asking a bunch of questions, how do you do that? Like, how do you sample into this? And, he would let me come to his house with his kids and his wife and his family and let me play on the ASR 10. And that's like how I got my, introduction into like production. And, the production wasn't that great. I was I was just starting off, but
Right, right.
that was the catalyst to, just what I do now, being able
Right.
to experience that. But that, I think that was my very first experience as, as studio artist, recording and, writing and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's man, 12 years old to be able to experience that. I'm sure that motivated and inspired you in a way that propelled you into what is your career. So, like, you got that early exposure. After this RCA situation kind of doesn't work out for you, what's happening now in your life? Like early teens, going into high school, like where are you at musically at this point?
Um, so I was a part of my junior high and high school band. In junior high, so that would be like around the 12th grade year. I mean, I'm sorry, my 12-year-old year.
Right,
Um,
right.
uh, I was first line snare drum percussionist, first chair. Uh, my grades started slipping because there were some things going on within my personal life with my family situation that kind of like, it kind of tipped into that. So my grades dropped, and
Gotcha.
then, whenever your grades drop, they drop your position. So they dropped me down to you know, like auxiliaries and little trinklets and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I wasn't happy, but, I realized it was just like, okay, well, you got to pass the play. So, I wasn't passing. So they said, here you go, take these chimes, take these little trinklets and have at it. But from there on up to high school, I played football at the same time being in the band. Don't ask me how that works. It just worked. Um,
Yep.
and then from there, uh, from high school band on into God's Property, that's where we come to. So
So you was straight out of high school in the God's property.
pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that man, look, that's what happens when you got talent though, man. You know? You just it kind of like it's drawn the industry is drawn to talent and like vice versa and but you said something that was interesting uh in band because I could relate. I played in all types of different bands, marching band, concert band, jazz band, all that stuff, and I know what it's like to play the auxiliaries, and that's what kind of propelled me into my future career playing
Yeah,
auxiliary percussion.
yeah.
But those types of textures, I'm sure that helped you as a producer now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, talk about that, man. How do you think that experience shaped how you approach how you produce music?
Well, I mean, it's really there's really no way that it could not have. You know what I'm saying? Like having that background in band and realizing, first of all, being able to read music and understanding why you're playing this and where you're playing it, you know, and how those certain types of instruments produce a certain kind of sound or a feeling at that moment. It's all like a glue if you want to use that term. Um
Right,
uh Even with my music production today, it's pretty much the same thing, that same terminology in terms of music or, just placing things. Like I'm not gonna place a wind chime in the middle of a verse where it's not a transitionary thing. Those
right,
auxiliary instruments are transitionary instruments to get to the next piece. And then you have like your tamarines that are like, percussive to help keep the groove going. Um, what else? You have like transitionary instruments that are like uh what's my boy called? The the joint with the wooden block, uh
oh yeah, like
the wooden
the
ball
vibra
on the.
slap.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like things like that. And, with knowing those things, going through school and being able to find them on, a DAW or, in a sound bank, and knowing where those things have to take place, or not necessarily have to, but the structure of where those things take place, that from school kind of helped me with my production, as it relates to like doing music in that sense.
Right, right. So man, this once makes me want to ask you this: Are you um are you more of a guy who a producer who will take the real instrument and sample it yourself and use it, or are you using more just like sound banks?
I do both. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it just depends on what the track is telling me, if that makes sense. It depends
Mm-hmm.
on
Yeah.
if I'm not gonna use a a an electronic snare if the kick is live. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm gonna try to find something to kind of match that timbre or that tone, or I'm not gonna play 808s on top of a real live snare or a real live drum
Mm-hmm.
kit. You know what I'm saying? Uh, like I said, it just depends on, number one, what the feel of the track is. Number two,
Right.
how I feel, and number three, just the overall compatibility of sound. So, if it doesn't work, I won't use it, and that could be live or sound bank. So it just depends.
Right. Right.
Yep.
So man, when you first really got into producing for yourself and producing for other artists, like what was some of the equipment that you own that you started off with to help you get to where to get to make music?
Man, okay, so the first the first keyboard I started off with, believe it or not, was a Casio keyboard with the speakers on top.
I believe it. I
It
think we all
started
had
there.
that, man.
Yeah, yeah. But the crazy thing is, there used to be this program called Cakewalk, which I think now is Fruity
Yeah.
Loops or in the window or Window or something like that. Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay.
Cakewalk,
Yeah, I remember Cakewalk.
yeah, yeah. Cakewalk used to come free with 8 tracks, and so instead, and I didn't realize I was doing this at the time. So instead of recording on my Casio, I would record audio from the Casio inside Cakewalk and track that
Mm,
way using the general MIDI that was laced inside, the
yeah.
the
Yeah.
Casio. I didn't realize I was being it wasn't innovative in the sense of, yo, I created this. It was innovative because, yo, I didn't know I could do this. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
with that, it kind of turned into like I had 8 tracks. So my kick and snare always would have to be separate. Well, my kick snare
Mm-hmm.
hat would always be separate. So
Mm-hmm.
that would leave me with 5 tracks.
Right.
And so if I wanted to do like, cymbals or, auxiliaries and, congas and stuff like that, that would be on the fourth track. So that would leave me
Yep.
with 4 more tracks. I could do bass, I could do keys, I could
Yeah.
do strings if I wanted to, and whatever that eighth track was, or it would probably be like a lead line or whatever. That was it, and that would be a song. Now I didn't realize I would sooner or later want to record vocals, so I would have to condense yet again into Cakewalk, and I would put like bass and keys on one track, and then like do one auxiliary, and then have like 3 other tracks left over for like vocals. So for me,
Yeah.
that's where the whole production thing started, and then it moved up to for hardware. I had a Korg. I don't remember the series, but it was an old gray Korg given to me by my friend that passed away in 2001. Uh, he actually introduced me to the Triton. Starting
Oh
no,
yeah.
he introduced me to the Trinity, and the
Right. I
Trinity,
remember the Trinity. Yeah.
yeah, the Trinity. Uh, I was schooled on that by like one of my mentors, Robert Seawright. Everybody knows him as Sput. He trained me
Yeah.
on that, and then from the Trinity, I went to the MR60, the Ensoniq MR61, uh, which that board was like revolutionary. Like
Yeah.
it gave you like 16 tracks, and the sounds were just like ahead of its time. And I
Absolutely.
remember I remember the Potter's House had a board. They had the longer version of that board, and I would go up to the church and just shed on that board and work on my tracks and whatnot. And you had like your little floppy disk you would save, and your
Yeah.
programs
Yep.
and instruments. Uh, from there was the Triton afterward, and from the
Mm-hmm.
Triton we move into like the Pro Tools era, and from
Yeah.
there it pretty much hasn't changed until Akai came out with their DAW. Um,
Right.
I've messed with Logic and what's the other one, Luna that just came out. I've messed
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
but I'm really a Pro Tools, and I'm an Akai guy too. So uh, that's
Yeah.
pretty much my journey. I've used other keyboards and things. It's just I gravitate to Korg and Akai a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm a lot like you as the first DAW that I ever learned was Pro Tools. Well,
yeah.
I take that back. The first one I ever learned was Reason, but I don't know if that was
Oh,
actually a real DAW. That was more like a sequencer.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but as far as like a full fledged DAW, Pro Tools for me was the first I learned on. And I want to ask you a question about that. How do you feel Avid has done with their MIDI production from where they started to now? Because it used to be very frustrating to sequence in Pro Tools, but now I
Yeah.
feel like they're at a really a good place right now. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's gotten way better from when they first started. I remember having to like navigate menus. It wasn't user friendly at all. And it's just like
Right.
I have my MIDI plugged in and it's telling me to go here, but it's not working. Like like what's happening?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
um
Right.
and then like the navigation of being able to pull actual waves is easier now.
Mm.
You don't have
Yeah.
to. Everything was just in menus to where you would have to literally go through each section and find out, oh, okay, this is where I do this, or this is where I do that.
Yeah.
But you know, uh, time heals all wounds, to
Yeah.
say to say the least.
Yeah.
And I really feel like they've come up uh, as far as being able to navigate their system uh, like you couldn't do. in the earlier days.
Right. Yeah, no, they've done a really great job of just making it more user friendly, and I don't know if you've used the new it's like their new sequencer, like this for the iPad or whatever.
Yeah,
What do they call it? It's different. I haven't really spent a lot of time on it, but if
yeah,
you are a beat maker, producer, man, please check out Pro Tools because they are catering to that group now instead of your hardcore like professional recording mix engineer. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
man.
I think the
So
funny thing about that is, I think when Logic came out, Logic made Pro Tools step their game up because Logic was like,
true.
"Oh, we hear the complaints. Pro Tools is a
Yep.
great system, but people don't like how it operates." So Logic, when they
Yeah.
dropped their situation, it was like, "Oh, we're just gonna put the buttons where you can just
Right.
access them like this. Oh, you need to
Right.
do internal listening here. The button's right there. You need to drag a
Right.
track here. Pull this down, and you can drag here. You need to mute the track. It's right here. You need to it made it simple for
Right.
the average person that doesn't produce. That's the key.
Yeah.
If a person that can get on a DAW that has never produced or has some type of knowledge in it can get on and figure it out like that, you're winning. Pro Tools, they
Right.
had to step that up. It's just like, yo, Logic is taking all of our people.
No,
So
that's
we got
real,
to make this
man.
easy.
That's real. And they had better internal instruments
Yes.
that just came stock to the program. And I think Pro Tools has done a really great job now at the type of instruments that they offer. Like the new
Yeah.
Groove Cell is like, man, I mean, it
Yeah.
took them so like, why did it take so long for them to do that? But I love it. It's super easy. You could drag in your own samples. It's a
Yeah.
pad based sequencer. So if you come
Definitely.
from the NPC world, you can really figure it out. And so yeah, man, I love what they've done lately.
Yeah. Yeah. There, and I think it's just only going to get better. And I hear that they've also, delved into the the audio video world now. Like they're doing
Yeah,
uh stuff for TV. And
yeah,
I actually heard this was gonna happen maybe like two or 3 years ago. I just never saw it until maybe like a couple months ago when I looked online. I was like, oh, they're actually doing it now. Like they're
yeah,
into
man.
TV and video. So that's
All
that's
of it.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's cool, man, and you could really like the price point now to get into like say you're a producer engineer who is doing some film TV work and you want to be able to pull in the video files in your sessions and be able to mix in Dolby, you can do it now.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
and
dope.
that's from and that's you could do Dolby in the Pro Tools Studio version. So
That's crazy. That's
the
crazy.
the sky's the limit now, man.
I
Yeah,
love it.
man.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, sir. Man, so tell me about some of your earlier projects that you worked on, some that got placements, some that didn't. Like what are some of the projects that you've done that kind of stand out for you?
Ah, well, there's a lot of music that I've done that hasn't been released. That touches me more than the music I have released. Um, I know my first full-fledged album that I dropped in 2011, The Breaking Point was like my first solo situation. I was really into Prince around that time, and you can hear the influence a lot.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah.
but I think that was special to me because I think around that time I was still trying to figure out who Deonis was as an artist. Um, so
Mhm.
it was more about experimenting with sounds and incorporating those artists that I love to kind of mold who I was as an artist. Um, you'll hear a lot of Jay Dilla influence as well. Um,
Yeah.
of course. um,
Yes, sir.
but I
Detroit. Shout out to Detroit.
absolutely Coney Gardens, 7 Mile and Ryan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
uh, but yeah, I think those were like the the formative years for me, and I would say that entire project was probably like something special for me as I'm trying to like navigate. But what's funny, I came out with a couple of more albums before the breaking point, working with a an artist by the name of Brown Lion. Um, he was a hip
Okay.
hop artist.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's out of south side of Detroit. He lived here in Dallas for a while. Now he lives in New York. He's a pastor now. Um,
Okay.
but we would just always create music, and during my production years, like I was saying, I was always a big Dilla fan. So that kind of helped mold the sound that I have as myself. Um, uh, that I think the first album we dropped was called City Zoo Even Still, which is on iTunes as well. Um, and then uh, from that, I dropped an instrumental album by the name of Cat Food, which is nothing but like
Okay.
samples and it was almost like a ode to Dilla, like after his passing, and
Right.
it's just
Okay.
taking samples and just you know creating your own thing to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I would say like my earlier projects were probably like formative, and they helped mold me into who I am, and they're probably the most important pieces of my journey because it's what made me. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, would you consider yourself right now more of an artist or a producer or both?
Uh, that's a good question. I would say both. Um, Only because I never stopped being either one. There's never
Right.
a time where I'm just like, okay, I want to be a singer now. Nah, I want to be a producer. Nah, it's I'm both because at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I was created to do. I'm gonna do what's
Mm-hmm.
in me, and regardless of whether that be singing in a time period or producing in a time period, it's all Deonis. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's I would definitely say it's both. And I wouldn't change that if I could at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, you've had the privilege to work with a lot of different people, a lot of different artists, and you've kind of lived that life of, you have your own music, you have your own career, but you know what it's like to support other people's artistry. Man, tell me just how do you manage giving the best your best for other people while still wanting to give the best for yourself?
Well, I think it's all about balance. I think it's all about realizing where you are and applying what you need in that moment to that moment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm working with other artists, it's about them. It's about their vision. It's about what they want to portray to their audience, and me getting on board with that. I bring what I can bring for them that's a part of me to their collective product. Um, and I think it's vice versa when it deals with me. All that energy that I focus on with them, I bring that back to me to give 100% of what I want to portray and bring to the people. But like I said, it's all about balance. It's all about knowing your place and knowing your time. Um, I don't know if anybody has ever seen that episode of Jamie Foxx where he goes on tour with Casey and JoJo, and he starts ripping and running, and he's singing background vocals. But that's kind of like what I
Right.
see anytime I see people that are on these background gigs with major artists. and they're out here trying to promote themselves. It's just like, no, no, you're here for them. You're here to
Right.
push their brand. And when you're away from them, that's when you push your brand. So,
Right.
like I said, it's all about balance and knowing who you're doing what for and giving that your energy. And then when it comes back to you, giving yourself that same energy that you give them.
Right. No, that's a great point, man. Like, so when you're working with a like an artist and you're on tour or whatever, when you have some time off, are you trying to focus on finding some gigs for yourself while on that tour, or are you waiting till that's over and done with before you start working on your own stuff?
It just really depends. I think most of the time if I'm on tour with somebody, I'm chilling. I'm like in the
Right.
hotel room. I'm writing or
Yeah.
recording or, trying to come up with new ideas. I'll probably do a show here and there. But I want to be able to give, like I was saying earlier, give my 100% to what it is that I'm doing. When I'm out on tour, I can't do that because I got to worry about getting back on time and, getting enough sleep to get up to go to sound check or,
Yeah.
making sure I have all the music learned or making sure that I didn't get a new instruction in master tour or something like that. You know,
Right.
I'm constantly thinking about, like I said, the artist versus myself. While when I'm
Right.
not on tour, okay, I've already made the connections in these places that I've been to being on tour.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Right.
call them now and be like, "Yo, you remember me from this tour? You remember me when I came to your city? Yo,
Yeah.
let's try and do some work. Let's try to set up some type of connection to where, we can do a couple shows or I can showcase this or I can showcase that and we can partner and broadcast it out to the city, get some people to come through, that type of thing. I want to be able to give 100% at all times to anything I do. And if one is
Yeah.
conflicting with the other, I'm going to drop something and focus on the other. So,
Absolutely. No, that's a great point, man. How do you feel about promoting yourself as a I sang background for such and such? Like, do you feel like that's ethical? Do you feel like it is necessary to use the things that you've done in order to promote yourself?
honestly, I used to feel bad about that. I would shrink myself, but
Right.
I'm always told like, dude, let your light shine. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing this. Like the only way there's a saying, closed mouths don't get fed. If I'm trying to get on a
Yes.
gig and I'm not telling people, yo, this is what I do, I'm not gonna get a gig. They don't know. They don't
Right.
understand. They don't know what it is that you do. So not in a haughty way or arrogant type of
Right.
way, but it's like, yo, my name is Deonis. I've done background vocals for Jill Scott, Janet Jackson, Alicia Keys, Kanye West. Like, you know, these are things that are resume builders, and
Yeah.
people people 9 times out of 10 will go with the experience and the character versus somebody. Hey, what do you do? What
True, man. That's
what
so
do you
true.
do? So, yeah, I used
Absolutely.
to feel a way about uh, you know, giving out receipts, but I don't feel that way anymore because I'm proud of what I do. I love what I do, and
Yeah.
if you want me, this is the type of professional that you're getting.
Right. And you should do that, man. Like, I think that's really the reason why I believe, God blesses us with opportunities for us to build upon. And like you said, as long as you're not doing it in a haughty way, a way that's puffing your own self up, that's pushing people down, but you're doing it's like, this is what I've done. You know,
Yeah,
it does bring credence and credibility to your name. Cause
yeah,
let's be honest, most promoters, they are in the business to make money and they want to do whatever they need to do to sell tickets. So
right.
you got to do what you got to do, man.
And I guarantee you, Nike, the creator of Nike didn't go, go into business talking about, uh, well, I created Nike. I mean, Reebok is doing a great job. Uh, Puma is nah. Nike came out like, yo, we got Michael Jordan. Like
Yeah.
y'all, what?
Yeah.
Wear my shoe. It's we have to do the same thing.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
how you get
Exactly.
business.
That's how, man. That's how you gotta do it, man. You touched on it, man. You said you mentioned the people that you have had the privilege of working with, and the Kanye West thing with the Sunday service choir. Man, tell me about that whole experience for you, man. How was that?
To be honest, it was one of those things that was really organic, and it was it was filled with lots of positivity and love, not just for being in the situation, but for being around those people in that particular time. Like we grew together, we ate together, we traveled together. Um, it really was a situation of love and respect for artistry as well. Not to
Mm-hmm.
mention, you know, singing singing songs that we all grew up with and changing them into
Right.
to gospel songs. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not the first time that that's happened, but I think it was more blatant than it has ever been. And,
Yeah.
if you weren't a part of that experience or you didn't get to experience it, you can only look from the sidelines and, give your give your opinion on what you think something is going on or if it's a cult or whatever the people were saying. But
Right.
I, people always talk about what they don't understand. So my experience with that will always be one of gratitude and one of fun and love, and just giving honor and praise to God, in another form. So, you know,
Man. Yeah, man. Look, from my vantage point, y'all look like y'all was having the most fun. It was so much joy.
yeah,
I That's just what I picked up, man. And if it was anything, I don't usually get envious or like want somebody else's gig, but I was like, man, I would love to be a part of that percussion section,
yo,
man. They was
you would have
killing.
killed that gig. You would have killed
Oh
that
my
gig.
god,
Bro.
man.
It
Every
was so
time, man, I
fun,
was like,
dude. It
oh
was so
dog, they
fun.
look like they have so much fun. Yeah, man. I love it, man. So, man, you have been in this professional world for a long time, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
tell us what you got going on now. And I know we have a shared a project that's out right now, but I want you to talk a little bit about your newest single, Kindred, that dropped. I believe it was about last month now, in March, early March, I believe.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Man, tell us about how that all came about.
Man, so Kindred came about through our mutual friend King. Uh he
Yes.
sent me a track and was just like, well, first let me back up. He called me out of nowhere. I'm just like, what? King calling me. So
Right.
he's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm chilling. He's like, I think I got a track for you. I'm just like, send it over. He sent it over. I'm just like, yo, I'm writing this right now. And
Yeah.
yo, it was phenomenal. And he told me like another artist had already like did something to it, and they weren't really like feeling the direction that it was going. So they pretty much sent it over with me. Him and Little John, they did the production on
Yeah.
the track. So sent it over. I got it back to him in like uh I think it took a week because I think it was some other things that I was doing around that time, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to rush the song. I wanted it to be lyrically sound, and like I wanted it to be like something that was reminiscent of the 90s that era of good lyrics, that era of
Yeah.
swooning, if if you
Yeah.
could use any
Yeah.
words. Um,
Because that's what the track was giving very much 90s mid condition,
Absolutely.
like just that
And that's my
big
favorite group.
R&B band. Yeah,
Yeah,
same. Me too.
yeah. That's my favorite group, man. Like Stokely Williams is an underrated phenomenon, bro. Like
Absolutely.
it's like people don't really understand the vocal capabilities of this man. And I actually had the distinct pleasure of opening up for this dude when the Prophet Bar and the Door
Wow.
were still around. And after I got off stage, he was just like, "Bro, you slammed," and I was just I turned into like one of them fans, like, "What dude? Oh!" So, yeah,
Yeah.
that song put me in that mode, and I wanted to do it justice. And I think it turned out to be a pretty dope song, man.
Man, that's an understatement, man. You killed that joint. You killed it from a vocal standpoint, just singing. The vocal production was amazing, and the
Thank
lyrics,
you.
man. Like talk to me a little bit. Let the people know what was the inspiration behind the lyrics of Kindred.
Uh, so there's this movie called What Dreams May Come. It has Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr. Pause. A couple other actors in it. uh, so the basis of the movie is a guy and his woman being soulmates. One dies, she goes to hell. He dies, goes to heaven, but can't live without her, so he goes to hell to go get her. And when he feels like he's at his wits end and trying to bring her out of hell, instead of going back to heaven, he stays in her hell with her. That's like deep. That's
Wow,
deep to me. I'd rather be unhappy with you than
that's
to be
deep.
happy with you without you. So, the pretty much at the end of the movie, they both escape that hell to get back to heaven, kindred spirits or soulmates. So that's kind of like
Got
the
you.
inspiration behind Kindred. I was watching that movie and it was just like,
Wow.
what kind of love is that? That is,
Right. right.
I'm married. I hope
That's
me and my
amazing,
wife got that. Yo, this is like, that's crazy.
man. Yeah, no, man. To get that lyrical content from watching that movie and then being inspired by the music of Kindred and the whole process, man, for you was amazing. I had a joy. I got a chance to mix that song along with me and King,
You killed
and
it.
man, masterful job. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But you really brought that song to life, man, and I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So everybody out there, please go buy, stream, download Kindred by Deonis. You won't be disappointed. This song, it is amazing. It takes you back, gives you that 90s feel, that good R&B feel. So, man, have you
Yeah,
had a chance to perform that song yet live?
I did. I opened up for Drew Hill. I think it was
Oh,
last month,
nice.
and was able to perform uh, that time, and it got a really good response. Um,
That's
you know,
amazing.
I'm thinking like, yo, these niggas here to see Drew Hill. Like, hey, they really, and they got him on stage, and just seeing them vibe and just just get into it. It was just like, wow, this song is really this is really a dope song.
Yeah, yeah, it is, man. I mean, you could put that song up against anything because it's like it gives you that '90s, but it don't sound old
Exactly.
if that makes
No,
sense. Yeah,
no, no.
yeah, man. So tell us, man, what do you got going on these days? Right now, what you working on?
Well, my goal was to put out a single a month. I missed that goal. So I'm currently working on new music as we speak. Um I'm working on a new single right now. It'll be a little bit up tempo. Um, I got tracks for days. It's just
Mm-hmm.
about, picking the right ones to write to, and the ones I feel that'll be you know, that'll give that spark, or that'll give that energy uh to what's out there. Um Working on that. I'm doing a lot of submissions for like movies and uh TVs. I want to get into video games really, really bad. So
Yeah,
that's the next goal for me. Um uh and then just up in the catalog, and just trying to, you know, do more shows around the city, around the country, and just make music all day, all day long.
for sure, man. Look, man, you are definitely one of the most talented people I've known. Who you just got everything, and that's rare. And I want you to know that I respect your craft very much.
Thank you, brother. I
So, man,
appreciate that.
keep doing what you're doing, man, and everything that you want to do, man. Just do it. Go after it, man.
Absolutely.
Don't let
Absolutely.
anybody or anything hinder you from doing that, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
man. So, you're not an old man. You're still fairly young, but you've been in this industry for a long time, man. Is there any type of advice that you want to give to that person, that young producer, that young singer that is aspiring to be an artist, who wants to be a producer to get their music out in the world, man? Just take a few minutes and just give us some advice, man, and encourage someone how you want to do it, man.
Look, I mean, I could give you so many tips and pointers about, how to act, or how to speak, or your character, or how to talk amongst certain circles, or you know anything of that nature. But the one most important thing, if any, above all of that, that I can give to a young producer, or a singer, or anybody that's trying to, come into this industry, is don't stop.
Mm,
Don't stop. Because what they don't tell you, there are going to be times where you don't get the calls. There are going to be times where you're overlooked. There are going to be times where you're better than the person they selected. You know that your writing capability is far superior than the person that they selected. You realize that your musical capability far exceeds the capabilities of the person that they selected. But everything is always one yes away from you being picked. Don't stop. Don't stop moving to your goal. There are going to be times when you get down, you get sad, you get depressed. You're going to feel like quitting. You're going to feel like selling your stuff. You're going to feel like nobody's listening to what you put out. But trust,
mm-hmm.
keep going. And I'll say another important thing on top of that, know why you're doing it. If you're doing music just to get placements, or just to, you know, make money, your motives aren't right in the first place.
Yep.
You got to do this because this is what you love, and you would do it for free if you had to. Homeless,
Yep.
you would do it. Without food, you would do it. Know your motives and don't stop. That's my advice. Everything else will come to you.
Man, you are so right, man. Is that's apparent for everybody, and you said it. Everybody in this industry has had to come to that realization at some point in time. Just don't stop, man. That is amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you, man,
Yeah.
for the wise words, and thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for, man, just your time here today. And I just want you to know that you are loved, man. You are valued, and I just appreciate you coming on this platform today to chat with everybody, man.
Oh, absolutely, dude. It was a pleasure, man. I had fun. We definitely got to do this again. We definitely got to do it because all of my nasal situation that's going on right now with all this sickness. Battling these allergies, bro. Battling these allergies,
Hey,
bad.
hey, it's that time of year. We in Texas, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy. It is crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Well, Deonis, man, I appreciate you, man, and everybody out there that's listening or watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Go on Apple Podcasts and save this show. Download the episodes. I want to continue to bring you amazing content. Continue to bring you amazing guests like Deonis. And just do me a favor, like, comment, share, subscribe, tell people about it, and we will be back again. Deonis, thank you again for coming. And everybody, I'll see y'all next time in the studio. Peace.